Once the Dr. Preload bearing adjustment tool is mounted, now it is time to begin the bearing adjustment process. To seat the bearing rollers, tighten the T-handle, slowly turning it clockwise. Do not over-tighten the T-handle such that the needle pointer exceeds the maximum value shown on the gauge. Allow the needle pointer to catch up as you slowly tighten the yellow T-handle. Turn the T-handle to load the bearings until the needle pointer on the Dr. Preload gauge reaches the green roll-in zone. Holding the gauge guard handle firmly with one hand, use your other hand to spin the hub at least 3 full turns in any one direction to seat the bearing rollers. The load may drop slightly when rolling in the bearings. This is normal. If the needle pointer drops out of the roll-in zone, tighten the T-handle until it returns to the roll-in zone and spin the hub again. Repeat this process until the needle pointer stays in the roll-in zone. Do not spin the hub again after this step. If this occurs, remove Dr. Preload and start over by fully seating the hub as described in Prepare the Wheel End for bearing adjustment. Do not tighten the temper lock nut against the bearing while the needle pointer is in the green roll-in zone. To set the bearings, loosen the T-handle, turning it counterclockwise slowly until the needle pointer reaches the 1,000 pounds force hash mark. Do not go past the set point. If the set point is overshot, go back to step 2 and repeat in order to seat the bearing rollers. Locking in the bearing setting. Rotate the temper lock nut clockwise until the back face first makes light contact with the bearing face. Standing directly in front of the Dr. Preload tool, look towards the temper lock nut to determine if the dots on the face along the top of the temper lock nut are aligned with the hash marks on the top section of the circular key finder. If the dots line up with the hash marks, this step is completed. If the dots on the face of the temper lock nut are not aligned with the hash marks on the circular key finder, turn back the temper lock nut very slightly until the very next set of dots do align with the hash marks. Note that the dots on the face of the temper lock nut and the hash marks on the circular key finder are positioned so that when the user is standing in front of the tool and looking in a direct line of sight along any one hash mark to the dots, lining up one dot with a hash mark will ensure the dots are aligned with a hash mark all around the circumference of the circular key finder. Due to normal visual distortion, if the user looks to the left or to the right along the circular key finder, it will appear that the dots and hash marks are out of alignment. Remove Dr. Preload from the spindle. Completely loosen the T-handle by turning it counterclockwise until the load showed on the gauge drops to 0 and the threads on the shaft are completely covered. Hold the gauge guard handle to support the weight of the tool and then loosen the star handle, turning it counterclockwise. When the tool is unattached from the spindle, gently rotate the Dr. Preload tool until the 2 load arm tips are positioned over 2 flats of the nut, and pull straight back and the load arms will slide back around the nut. Install the retainer ring. First install the Easy View center tab of the retainer ring in the temper lock nut, engaging the key in the keyway at the same time. Push in on each end finger tab one at a time to fit each tab into the nut groove. Always inspect the final assembly. Ensure that there is a yellow retainer ring inserted in the nut. Check that all 3 Easy View tabs and the locking teeth of the key are fully seated in the nut for a safe installation. The Easy View notches of all 3 tabs must be completely hidden in the groove of the nut. Failure to inspect the installation thoroughly could result in component failure and bodily injury. This completes the training video. Should you have any questions, contact us at Temper Axle at 518-853-3467.